This video is a summary of the lecture notes that you will find in Module 1. Naturally, you'll want to read Chapter 1 in the textbook and then read the lecture notes. Time is of the essence in this 5-week class. The lecture notes are very content-rich, so you should probably go ahead and get started as soon as you can. Now, I'm sure you've seen plenty of infomercials trying to sell you some get-rich-quick scheme where some guy is making a ton of money floating around on a yacht all day with lots of cute girls walking around in bikinis. All you have to do is plunk down $300 for his CDs, and he will sell you his secret for creating wealth. Now, if I thought for a moment that was for real, I would drop this job in a heartbeat and I'd leave you guys hanging right in the middle of the semester. But the sad truth is that there is no way of creating wealth out of thin air. Reading number 1 in the list under Module 1 is entitled Getting Rich Slowly, and it describes the ways in which you can obtain wealth or earn an income. So, as tempting as those infomercials might be, and believe me, I've wanted so badly to believe it, the secret that this person is trying to sell you will absolutely require you to do something that's on that list. So you'll want to get acquainted with that. Now, being able to compute percentage changes in a personal finance course is absolutely mandatory. If I start the day with $40 in my pocket and I end the day with $70 in my pocket, what is the percentage change in the amount of money I have in my pocket? Okay, time's up. If you said 75%, you can probably skip that second reading on the list, the one entitled A Note on Computing Percentage Changes. But if it took you more than a couple of seconds, you should probably invest the 5 minutes for reading that set of lecture notes and get a little explanation. Now, the third reading on that list is entitled Economic Fluctuations and the Value of Assets. Here you will learn about economic fluctuations, often known as the business cycle, and its economic expansions and economic contractions. The reading also explains the difference between nominal assets and real assets. You'll find out why during an economic expansion, the real value of a nominal asset will decrease, thus making the nominal asset holder poorer, and why the nominal value of a real asset will increase. The basic reason is that during an economic expansion, the price level will usually rise, and during an economic contraction, the price level, or at least the rate of inflation, will fall. Now, if the nominal value of the real asset increases at the same rate as the price level, at the same rate of inflation, the real asset holder will neither be richer nor poorer. But if the nominal value of a real asset increases at a rate greater than inflation, the real asset holder will become richer. Now, there are two phenomena that will actually cause the nominal value of a real asset to rise at a rate greater than inflation. Those two are financial leverage and speculative bubbles. This particular reading explains what those two phenomena are and why they will cause or might cause the nominal value of a real asset to rise at a rate greater than inflation, thus enriching the real asset holder. Also in the reading, you'll understand 4 of what for us will be the 6 factors that go into making up the nominal interest rate. We'll get to the other 2 down the road, and you will also learn the difference between the nominal interest rate and the real interest rate. Now, it's vital that you have an intuitive understanding of these concepts to understand what assets will increase in value, what assets will decrease in value, and at what times. The next essay on the list is entitled Getting Rich Quickly. Remember, I told you that it can't be done unless you're incredibly lucky. But actually, it can be done under one set of circumstances. You can get rich quick if you are prescient. Prescience is the ability to foresee the future. Of course, if you were prescient, you really wouldn't need to know any of this information in this essay. You could just foresee the winning number of the next lottery ticket and, chuck all this finance crap right out the window. But even if you couldn't foresee the next lottery number, all you need to do is to be able to see the fluctuations in the economy, when the economy would turn, when it would bottom out and start expanding or peak out and start contracting. That's all you need to do, and you could become rich really quickly. You'd know, for example, exactly when to buy real assets and when to buy nominal assets. You know to buy real assets at the very depths of a recession. By doing so, you'd buy them at a very low price. In addition, you'd want to buy them with borrowed money so you could magnify your returns through financial leverage. Fortunately, the nominal interest rate at that time would be very low. They'd practically be giving the money away. And then, as the economy began to expand, the price of the real asset would rise. There might even be a speculative bubble in that asset as the economy reached its peak. 5 or 8 years later, whatever it was, of course, you'd know that because you'd be prescient. Naturally, your rate of return on investment would be much greater than the increase in the price of the asset because you'd be using financial leverage. And if that's not enough, the real interest rate on the loan that you took out would fall. Now, once the economy reached its peak, you'd sell the real asset, pay off your loans, and invest the profits in nominal assets. And then as the economy fell back into a recession, the price of those nominal assets would rise. So while everybody else was getting laid off and wallowing in misery, you'd be getting rich hand over fist. And then once the economy bottomed out, just sell those nominal assets at, of course, a highly inflated price, and then start the process all over again. Believe me, you'd own the universe in no time flat. All you need to do is to correctly anticipate the fluctuations in the business cycle. That's all you need to do, and you get rich fast. But if you're wrong, you will get poor even faster. So watch it. Now, the next set of lecture notes is an explanation of the concept of financial leverage, a concept that we've already mentioned when we were explaining the nominal value, why the nominal value of a real asset might rise at a rate greater than inflation during an economic expansion. And by the way, while the value of your investment would fall at a much greater rate than the decrease in the price of a real asset during a recession. Financial leverage acts just like a lever in physics. The purpose of a lever in physics is to magnify the amount of work performed by a given amount of effort. In the same way, in finance, the purpose of leverage is to magnify the return earned by a given amount of principal. You'll get much richer, much faster by using financial leverage, but, as you might have guessed, you'll also get much poorer, much faster if you're wrong. Now, the next item in the reading is entitled Real Assets, Nominal Assets, and the Business Cycle. I use this PowerPoint presentation in class to summarize the financial concepts and to put all of these new terms into context. In a previous reading, the nominal interest rate was explained by a stack of blocks. The height of that stack of blocks represents the nominal interest rate, and each of the blocks within that stack represents a factor that affects the interest rate. When the size of one of the blocks changes, the height of the stack would change. Now, one of these stacks is entitled the cost of default block. And the next essay, entitled The 5 C's of Credit, explains the variables that will affect the size of this cost of default block. Now, the final essay in this model explains the difference between accounting and economic costs. When we weigh the costs and benefits of some action, it's probably already intuitive that we use the concept of economic costs rather than accounting costs. Although you probably wouldn't be able to articulate that concept in that way. However, it's better to be aware of the true costs of something than having to rely on our intuition. So be sure to read the essay, Economic versus Accounting Costs. So, as you can see, you have a lot to do in a short time in which to do it. If some of this stuff sounds vague or obtuse, read chapter 1 and the lecture notes, and then come back and watch this video again and see if it makes more sense to you than it did the first time. And if it doesn't, you'll be able to see where your weaknesses are, so you can go back to the readings and deal with those issues. Don't forget to post your questions or comments in the appropriate form on the discussion board, and you will see that when another announcement is posted, you will be notified by email. In the meantime, we'll see you on the discussion board.